Hello and welcome to part 3 of our live raw reactions to the first rehearsal photos for the 2025 contest. This episode, we're focusing on the Big Five and the host country, Switzerland. So join me for my unscripted raw reactions to the first rehearsal photos. This is ESC 101. So before we begin looking at the Big Five and Switzerland, I do have some updates from the first and second semifinal reactions. First, thank you to anyone who's listened to them or watched them on YouTube and Spotify. It's an interesting process to actually make this into a video series because I've toyed with the idea for other regular episodes, but it just takes a lot of work. And this one's a little bit easier to do because it's just mostly photos with a little bit of video clips here and there. So there's not a lot of heavy editing to do, but it is time consuming. So I appreciate the patience and I appreciate everyone listening/watching. But I do have some updates for some of the photos from the first and second semifinals. There have been some updates from some of the photos that have been released. Thankfully, there have been some news sites that have been giving some sort of extra insight into some of the rehearsals. And some of the information from the first two videos are out of date already. It kind of shows the changing nature of the contest and how quickly things can change. So I'm just going to go quickly through some of the countries that I know have had changes that might not have been noticed in the first two episodes. First one is Sweden, and I know that I specifically was hoping that they would get rid of the straps for the female backing dancers that were wearing the towels. In the second rehearsal clip with the video, they've actually confirmed that the backing dancers will be keeping the straps for the female dancers, which is still a shame. At least the black bra is gone on one of them. But yeah, I was hoping they would have like clear straps or have like a strapless towel thing. But yeah, the straps will be staying. So that is unfortunate for Sweden because it kind of takes away from the illusion of just being in a towel. Also, they're wearing weird hats. You don't wear hats in a sauna, but at least I don't think you wear hats in a sauna. I've never been in a sauna. I don't like the idea of going into a sauna because I don't like sweating. But yeah, that's a shame for Sweden. Norway, we have a miracle. The pants are gone. The pants have been swapped for something that's a bit more stylish, and I'm hoping to find a picture of them. I'll take probably the rehearsal clip and put it up on screen for those on YouTube and Spotify so you can see that the construction pants are gone. Norway has somehow listened to they probably had that kind of plan in their minds anyways, but I can pretend that they listened to my advice and got rid of the construction pants. Thank goodness for that. Australia, and I mentioned this in the second semifinal video, so if you watched it, you'll see the little disclaimer as I talk about it, but Australia will be adding a 1950s style milkshake, milkman costume uniform thing. So very, very nice. Thank you, Australia. And I believe it is a cup. I don't think it's an actual blender, but I think it is a cup. But yes, very excited for that costume update. Ireland, unfortunately, the hood is remaining. I mentioned in that video that I wish the hood would go because it looks a bit distracting. And watching the second rehearsal clip, and it's the part where Emmy is kind of doing the final bridge chorus thing and the hood's still there, so the hood is staying for the whole performance. That's a bit of a shame. Greece, apparently there's going to be a dress change on stage. At least this is confirmed by one of the news outlets on Instagram. So I don't know if there's going to be a costume reveal. I don't know if there's going to be a color change. Who knows? I know that I mentioned that I was hoping the dress would be more white or lighter gray to sort of stand out against the rock. So we'll have to wait and see for Greece. That will be an interesting one. And finally, the last update that I have is Armenia, where the main singer is shirtless in the second rehearsal clip and has sort of a dirty torso. So I don't know if they've dropped the upper half of the costume or if there's going to be sort of a reveal. It's also a shame that they're running on a treadmill, which never goes well because vocally that's just a bit iffy. But yeah, we'll have to see how that turns out, but I'm not looking forward to Armenia's staging. I mean, running in place, we'll have to see. But yeah, that's been a big update. And then yeah, there's been some updates for the Big Five, but I haven't recorded it yet. I'm recording it obviously right now. So those are the updates that I have for countries that I've already discussed. I'm sure there must be other updates that will be happening that I didn't mention, so I do apologize. But those are my reactions at the time. Obviously, my reactions will change once the live performances are out. This is kind of the fluid nature of Eurovision. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the Big Five and Switzerland. First up is France, and unfortunately, France is just phoning it in this year because they are just taking things from last year and hoping it works again this year. Song style from France last year applied this year. France's staging is from Denmark last year. Saba's Sand. This is what Saba's Sand should have looked like last year, where it's literal sand falling and some kind of like weird spiral pattern thing. I'm really mad at France this year, not just because France is sending another French ballad that is just full of emotion and I'm just emotionally tapped out, but because the outfit that is revealed on these first rehearsal photos will not be the outfit that Luan will be wearing on the night that she performs. Apparently they're saving that for the live show, which, there's nothing to react to. I literally could just skip France because there's no point in reacting to France because the outfit's not going to be what she's wearing. And I mean, it's not like you see very much anyways. There's just this like black lace dress thing. It's black on black. I mean, looking at the second picture, the sand is very thick. It almost looks like grains of sand, grains of like wheat. Yeah. France, just do something different, please. This is just annoying. Stop stealing things from last year. It's not going to work. There's nothing to react to. It's literally just Luan's going to be singing emotional things about her mother and how she's become a mother and just playing with sand, like she's in a sand pit. Like, is she trying to bring out her inner child? Maybe. I mean, it's a shame she doesn't have a shovel and a sandcastle bucket, because then maybe it would complete the look. Instead of sand, it should be falling salt, because I'm feeling salty about France this year. I don't have the emotional capacity to be sympathetic to France this year, and I'm just moving on. Next up is Germany, and thank goodness there's a resemblance of some kind of original staging because this is fantastic. On the bottom of the stage, we have a sort of giant boombox resembling thing. I mean, it's 3 cubes. The 2 cubes on the left and the right have these like circular dishes that are supposed to be like subwoofer or amplifier things. We have the main female singer in the front with some backing performers, and I'm assuming the other part of the duo is in the back playing some like fancied cello with some lights on it. We've seen that before, although not in a cello form. We've seen it in a violin form with Moldova 2010. That'll be on screen to show you. Interesting outfit choice by sort of zooming in. There's not a lot going on. Kind of, I don't want to say like Xena warrior princess, but it's kind of giving me that vibe where it's like very little sort of skin tight, sort of ready for combat style of clothing. There's some like really thick gloves. One of the backing performers is wearing jeans. That would get a minus 1,000 points from Elizabeth Allen for the Deuce Point podcast. So get ready for that. Yeah, it's a very sort of like clubby, it reminds me of like, those like music festivals like Coachella or like even like Woodstock, but in like modern day, where it looks like they're performing on like a giant stage. There's a lot of smoke. There's a lot of sort of like industrial scaffolding style of sort of constructions, so that's looking good for Germany. Second picture is just a close-up of the costume and sort of just rocking out on stage, so that looks good. Third image, again, sort of the same thing, except we have, I think, Baller as part of like a skirt thing, and I'm sure that's going to be torn away at some point because I don't see it in the first image. Again, there's not a whole lot to react to. It's mostly looking like a fashion shoot kind of thing where you're looking at the fashion more than the performance. So I imagine the camera work is going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting in this performance. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing because Germany's song is supposed to be like the sort of like party song that's hiding some kind of like crime scene message. So yeah, I think this will perform well. I think they have the charisma to pull off a good performance. And because it's sung in German, people don't really care about the lyrics that much. So it's not going to have a giant impact on the sort of relevance of the staging toward the song. But the aesthetic of the song, the instrumentation and sort of the sounds of the song will be replicated nicely with the staging. And I think it's very appropriate. I think this will earn some very good points from me when I see this on the stage in the grand final. Yeah, I think Germany has a good stage package, and I think that they have a decent song. Just hopefully the vocals will be there and the camera angles will be there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Germany's performance. Next up is Italy, and it's Lucio Corsi, and he's wearing some kind of like odd sort of top thing, almost reminding me of like almost like a Freddie Mercury kind of look. Very high, like winged shoulders that's in like a yellow, sort of a golden yellow with like sort of bead things kind of all around. Definitely looking a punk rock aesthetic. Unfortunately, the song is not paired with a punk rock aesthetic because this is just a sappy pity party ballad thing. Second picture, we have giant amplifiers, which is very interesting. We have these giant sort of retro-looking speakers that are from the 70s. We have a secondary instrument player that's going to be doing vocals and looks like he's dressed from the 60s, almost like a early 60s Beatle outfit. So that's an interesting choice. If you're definitely going for a retro look, notice that he's wearing sort of these brown boots. Again, an interesting choice. Not sort of my personal cup of tea, but I see the appeal. I see that some people will like this. Third image, more just an artistic shot of Lucio sort of singing his sappy pity party song. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Italy. I don't think this will be turning my head, but this will turn some heads. Kind of basic in terms of what I'm seeing. There's not a whole lot going on, but considering the song's basic template, that doesn't fully surprise me. But yeah, that's Italy, and I'm just going to move on to the next country. Next up is Spain, and we definitely have a sort of diva style staging where we have the center of attention putting on the artist. We have some backing performers. We have another backing performer that's holding melody, which hopefully that will look good on camera because otherwise it'll be a bit of an awkward look. The staging is not very much. I mean, the staircase looks like almost like white marble, but it's clearly fake white marble. Like you can definitely tell it's fake. The backing LEDs are just these like weird square things that are trying to almost mimic like sort of these like Greco-Roman columns, but it doesn't look, I don't know what the point of the aesthetic is. Second picture, this is what I'm looking for from Spain, sort of a diva wearing this like really over the top fancy looking outfit that someone would wear at like a red carpet, and it's like a completely white background with a black dress. See, this is what people need to do. Black on white, not black on black or white on white. You need to have the contrast so that you stand out. This is an interesting choice also for the use of a hat. This sort of like fancy hat there's going to be a reveal as shown by the third picture, which is definitely a more risque choice, almost like Chanel from 2022, but instead of a conquistador outfit, it's just a revealing outfit that, I don't know, I would see like Beyonce or J-Lo wearing. So that's a pretty good group of people to be compared to. That's pretty great. I mean, Melody looks great. Melody looks great. I like the boots, at least by what we can see in the third picture, the little sort of past the kneecap boots, which I really like the design and the aesthetic. I like the sort of the leather look with the sort of bedazzled laces. And I think that I wish that more artists in this year's lineup would wear boots like that. I'm seeing like the sleeve design with the neck. This is what the Czech Republic should have done with that hideous, weird striped sleeve thing. See, Spain knows how to dress their artists. This is well designed. I like the jeweled bedazzlement. Again, this is giving very J-Lo, very Beyonce. So I'm looking forward to seeing Spain's performance, and I hope that they keep the choreograph movements and the camera angles tight, because that's going to be important in delivering a performance and hopefully allowing Spain to not be in the bottom 5. Judging by what I'm seeing, there are going to be portions that I'm going to say question mark to and others that I'm going to be celebrating. So the fact that there's no like, oh, this is terrible is a good sign for Spain, I think, this year. I mean, even last year's Spain deserved way more points. That was a really good performance. So I'm hoping that this year that Esa Diva will have good points. Next up is the United Kingdom, and of course, with a musical theater song, you're going to have musical theater staging and musical theater costuming. We have Belle from Beauty and the Beast, we have Cinderella from Cinderella, and we have Aurora from The Sleeping Beauty. Not exactly in dress form, but just kind of in these like weird Victorian inspired costumes. I mean, again, very like retro. I mean, especially the middle one definitely looks retro to me. The other two, I mean, this is supposed to be after a wild night out of partying. No one's going into a party wearing those clothes in the 21st century. It just does not happen. I would have preferred to have seen some of them in sort of like, I don't know, more not grungy looking clothing, but just clothing that had more of like a darker goth aesthetic. But I see why they're doing the tricolors like that, because it makes them pop more. They're kind of like, oh, you went for a fancy night out. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, it could be like they went to this like fancy like fantasy ball thing where they had to wear like these fancy Victorian dresses, and then their wild party got so out of hand that their dresses continually ripped throughout the night until all that remained was what they're wearing. The only exception being the middle one that's wearing pants. I don't think that would be a thing that they would do, unless if they were like, I don't know, maybe they're cold and they needed to have like another layer underneath the dress. So that's what I'm going to believe. I'm going to believe that they were initially in these like very long, elegant ball gowns, and then the night got crazier and crazier, where their dresses got ripped and torn to what they're wearing now. Because that's a nicer narrative than thinking that they just went to a party wearing those outfits, because no one would wear those outfits in this day and age. In the left corner, we have a broken chandelier. I guess they are literally making the music video come to life, so that will be interesting to see what role that plays. Second image, again, we see more of the chandelier on this time on the right hand side. We have more details on some of the costumes. It looks like there's some bedazzled pants for the middle singer. Definitely some gorgeous lacework on the boots for the yellow costume. I think that's looking quite fabulous. The pink one, interesting choice of shoe. Not a big fan of the lower half of that shoe. It just kind of looks like a fake platformy style kind of boot. But I do like sort of the pink bodice and the short dress. I think that looks good. They all have great hair. I know I haven't mentioned the hair in in fact, almost any of the pictures, except for like maybe one or two, but they have great hair. Like, I love the styling. I love their like overall sort of makeup look that they're putting out. I think these girls are absolutely fabulous. Third image, you get an even closer shot, and they're just like naturally smiling. So I'm hoping that there's going to be some of that natural charm on the actual performance, because otherwise it'll look a bit odd. I'm kind of looking into the blue sleeves that I literally just noticed that there was blue sleeves. I didn't even realize that there were sleeves. Probably because I was too distracted by the pants. But looking at the sleeves, again, it feels like they had these like much more elaborate dresses. And you know what? I'm kind of torn between the idea of like them initially appearing in the large gowns and then having like backing performers ripping off parts of the dress as the song goes on until they eventually are left with the tattered rags of what the hell just happened. But at the same time, I'm also kind of like, well, maybe they should be waking up in what the hell just happened kind of look, and then seeing like the pieces of the costume strewn about on the floor, and they like pick up this piece of dress and they're like, how did this come off? What the hell just happened? But who knows? Maybe their natural charm will give them points. I mean, will the UK get 0 points? I wouldn't be surprised if they did get 0 points, but I don't think they will. I think there is a natural charm to this. I mean, in the lineup of popular songs, the UK isn't exactly a shining star, but it's not terrible. I think if you're on the middling to above middling, you're more likely to get points. Overall, I like the direction in which the clothing is going in. I like the direction of the styling of the girls, but there's just, I don't know. It's going to be a giant question mark for me seeing it live with the camera shots. Vocally, I'm not concerned, but yeah, I like the styling of the costumes. Even, you know, I'm kind of going back and forth, but yeah, I don't know. I think the UK will do well. Last up is Switzerland, and similar to Lithuania, there's not much to react to for the first image because it's Zoe singing, but it's her back to the camera, so there's literally not much you can see. It's the image is too dark. Whoever took this photo needs to rethink their life choices because this just gives us nothing. Second image, again, it gives us nothing. It's a dark silhouette. Zoe looks great, but again, there's nothing to really react to. It's kind of like a very silky dress. There's probably a wind machine somewhere in there, kind of fabric dangling about. Some of the fabric looks a bit torn towards the sort of sleeve flap on the right. There's a little bit of kind of like torn things of fabric. So that's too bad that looks like that, because I wish it would have been cleaned up a bit more. But yeah, there's really nothing to react to other than just lots of wind. Third image, we get a bit of a better clue where the dress is literally a nebula of red and blue and black with white dots. So kind of an interesting choice for a dress. I mean, the problem is when you have this kind of dark staging, you're not going to see a whole lot. And there needs to be a brighter draw to Zoe, especially for going on a trip. I mean, the dress is nice, but you just don't see a lot. It's a dark on dark contrast. I mean, you see the pops of red. The red you definitely see, so that helps. It looks like Zoe's sitting and has the microphone stand instead of holding the microphone. So I'm going to assume this kind of like hand choreography, because the way that her hands are posed in this picture, it looks like she's going to be doing something with the hands, sort of doing these like hand gestures, sort of getting an intimate moment for the audience. She's wearing a lot of rings and jewelry on her hands, so that'll be an interesting look. But yeah, unfortunately, Switzerland's not showing off a lot of their rehearsal footage, which is a shame. Because it doesn't provide content creators like myself with a lot of material to work with. And I know they're trying to like hold up for people wanting to see the final reveal on the night of the show, but this is not going to generate interest and hype in a lot of people. At least in my opinion, it doesn't show a lot of interest and hype, because I feel like the majority of people that watch Eurovision only watch it on the actual night, that they're not really engaged in the social media aspect of it. There's like a few casual fans that will be interested in the social media, but it's mostly just like super fans, like people like myself that are just like obsessed with the contest and want to follow every single detail. And hiding stuff from the rehearsal footage from people that are obsessed with the contest, it's a double-edged sword, because at one hand, yes, you want to make sure that the artists have enough rehearsal time and enough concentration to not worry about looking at reactions and hearing people's thoughts on it, but at the same time you need to have that sort of ear open for genuine criticism. And I mean, like, obviously we don't want like hate comments saying, oh, Zoe's ugly and she's gonna get last place and this is trash and blah blah blah. Like, we don't want any of that. Instead, we want like genuine critiques, like, oh, it's difficult to see the dress. It's, you know, those boots are kind of like question. I mean, you can't see what she's wearing in terms of boots, but just as an example, like, oh, you know, I don't like the boots that she's wearing. Then the people might think, okay, well, maybe we need to rethink the boots. Let's, you know, have the finger on the pulse of the community in general. But yeah, in terms of Zoe getting back on track to Switzerland, yeah, there's not much to tell, but I think that's Switzerland will have intimate moments. I just hope that the dress doesn't blend in too much with the background. And those are my reactions to all of the first rehearsal photos. Yeah, those are my thoughts. I hope that you enjoyed this series. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you enjoy having me talk more about the modern contest, or if you think I should just stick to Eurovision history, because I think that there's an interesting space for discussing the modern contest from a historic perspective, because we're seeing the development of the contest from this sort of old historic thing to a more of an interesting development in terms of technology, in terms of styling, in terms of music genres and things. But yeah, this is going to be the end of the bonus stuff. I'm not reacting to second rehearsal footage with the video clips. So thank you very much for joining me on this sort of very impromptu series. Again, I wasn't planning on doing even a video series, let alone a reactionary series to the first rehearsal images. It is very exhausting having to be a one-person operation, doing everything from the social media to the reacting to the editing to the posting and stuff. So I will probably not be doing this again, at least in an unofficial sort of podcast episode thing. But yeah, this has been an interesting experience for me. I think having this sort of reactionary thing and just kind of rambling on, talking about sort of different things. I hope you enjoyed, and if not, that's okay. We'll be returning to Eurovision history soon enough, where I'll talk about things that I can actually understand and actually have proper notes instead of just letting myself speak endlessly on and on, just like I'm kind of doing now, because I don't know where to put an end to it. But that'll be the end for my content for the rest of the Eurovision week. So there will be no episode on the Friday of the Eurovision week. My reaction to the studio tracks are all out. So if you haven't listened to those, please do, as you'll hear my thoughts on the songs. Other than that, I think that's going to be it for me for the 2025 season up until the live performances. So I hope you all have a wonderful Eurovision week. If you're in Basel or in any part of Europe, please say hi for me, because I really love Europe and I wish I was there. But yeah, if you want to get in touch, you can get in touch on many social media platforms, including Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, and YouTube. All of our handles are at ESC101 Podcast. Video versions of this episode are available on YouTube and Spotify. I don't know if they're hosted anywhere else, but those are the two platforms that I know are going to be hosting the video versions of this episode, so you can follow along with some of the imagery. And yeah, as I said, feel free to send me your thoughts. You can also send an email to esc101podcast@gmail.com. We have our link tree under our website if you're wanting to look at show notes for previous episodes, including the scores for the studio tracks, which I'm still working on, but hopefully should be out by Monday at the absolute latest. I mean, I'm going to be working on it over the next few days once I've gotten these videos out. So yeah, thank you again so much. And I will hopefully see you the next episode, which will be my reactions to the live performances of the non-qualifying countries. Until then, see you later.